Back when I was a student at Mizzou, I ran into racism probably on a monthly, if not weekly basis. Two issues that stand out to me still to this day were really like, oh my God, wow moments for me. Because to be honest with you, I grew up mostly around Black people. And I grew up with some white people, but the racism that I experienced in Louisiana was just like, okay, this is like normal here. I was not expecting Missouri, I know this is gonna sound very stupid now, to be a racist place. I was walking in with complete blinders on, apparently, because it was exactly that. So, one instance was when I went to, I think it was called like the Tiger Barber Shop or something like that. And it was in downtown Columbia, Missouri, okay? Let's just put that in perspective, y'all. You understand? And I walked in and greeted the person in the front and said, hey, can I get a haircut? And the guy was like, yeah, just have a seat. Tell me why I just sat and sat and sat and sat. It was over an hour, to the point where I was starting to feel uncomfortable because other people were coming in and getting sat in barber chairs before me. I was like, did they have appointments? No, they were walk-ins, because I heard them saying, oh, like, can you fit me in? You know, things like that. And I'm just still sitting there. Well, if you can fit them in, but you can't fit me in. Of course, I was the only Black person in there. And these were white guys walking in, coming in to get their little buzz cuts. I guess he was scared. They didn't want to hook me up with a little fade, honey. They didn't know what they were doing. So I got up and left. That was one instance. Another instance when our entire campus experienced racism was when white kids, assuming allegedly, but most likely white kids, went and spilled out dozens of white cotton balls on the Black Culture Center, which is where Black people at Mizzou would congregate, do tutoring, hangouts, etc. You know, somewhere for Black people to feel, you know, welcomed and a sense of community. Tell me why that is crazy. It like made national news. That's how crazy it is. Like, it was insanity. Now, Mizzou is facing yet another racism controversy. I'm so frustrated with my college. I'm so disappointed and embarrassed with my college. I worked at Mizzou a year or so ago as an associate professor. Associate professor? No, sweetie, you were not an associate professor. You were actually an adjunct professor, let's be clear. We represent, but we do not disrespect professors, honey, because they work very hard for the coin. Okay, bird. And it's hard work. So I know how hard it is working at a university, but there has to be some kind of way to rid the racism at that campus. It is just abominable. And it's tiring. I'm tired as an alum reading headlines that consistently talk about how racist the campus is. And we're reading it again. And Dr. Choi, where are you this time? Mute. Of course. He's Asian. Okay, he's Asian. But that's my problem. It's like, you're Asian. You know what it's like to be a person of color. But yet, you don't address the issue of racism on your campus. It's crazy to me. And I know his hands are tied because it's a state-funded school. And that's what they do there. But let me tell you one thing that needs to happen. The one thing that needs to happen is all the athletes at Mizzou, because most of them, and the majority of them, if I'm not mistaken, are Black. They all need to raise up and stand up and literally come out against all of the racism, even though it's probably against their contracts. Who cares? They can't get rid of the whole football team and the whole basketball team and the whole, everybody else's team. They all need to come together and make some noise. I'm telling you, if that happens, we're going to see some progress. Because at the end of the day, we all know what the hell is that? Athletics are what makes the university money And that is where you need to hit them at, where the money is coming in. I bet you they'll make some moves then. Anyway, so I want to talk about this. This is from the LBC. I know it's backwards, sorry. It is a critical statement, they're saying. State of the university's racial atmosphere. And I want to read this because this is the new issue that is facing Mizzou today. This was just posted 3 days ago. It said on Wednesday, October 9th, the executive board for the Legion of Black Collegians, it's like the Legion, it's like the Black Collegiate Student Government Organization, was made aware of a disgusting and reprehensible incident that happened to both a senator and Kaylin Walsham, our executive secretary. On the evening of Sunday, October 6th, both Kaylin and a friend were walking near the Gaines Oldman Black Culture Center when a pickup truck full of white men called them N-words and drove off. We've also received word that a young woman coming from a step show practice experienced the same thing as well. This means there have been 2 instances in the same week of Black women being accosted while being an everyday student. Okay? This goes on to say, please be aware that this type of incident is nowhere near unique to Mizzou's campus, as it has happened several times over the course of decades with no resolution. From the president of MSA in 2015 to a member of the Legion in 2024, we are tired of having to be subjected to ignorant and closed-minded white people who have nothing better to do than to find enjoyment out of the hurt and suffering of Black people. We will no longer stand idly by and minimize the experiences of our constituents and supporters as consequences of being Black at a PWI. We will no longer stand idly by while bright and hardworking students are reduced down to mere zoo animals by randoms on campus. This continues the overwhelmingly growing trend of Black students expressing fears of being on a campus that they paid for and furthers the feelings of distrust within the university. That's what I was talking about. While we have zero faith in the university systems, when it comes to these incidents, we'll give the system a single chance to make this right. We've put an incident form with the Office of Institutional Equity to allow the school to address the situation in an appropriate manner. Let us be clear when we say this, they say, the University of Missouri has no more than 30 days to effectively and efficiently put an end to this reckless and revolting behavior once and for all. Now, there are a list of demands. We've shared these lists of demands before, and they have not been met. Their list of demands here are number one, escalates our incident report to a formal complaint and allows those affected to be given rights and options. 2, honor our pre-scheduled meeting for the end of October. 3, lays out extensive consequences of partaking in this foul behavior within the Division of Student Accountability and Support, including but not limited to expulsion, suspension, removal from executive board activities, etc. I don't know how they're going to find these people. Maintains the usage of campus cameras routinely to monitor this behavior. All very commonsensical things, but I know how things go at Mizzou. They are just going to ignore all of this. Puts out a statement revealing the outcomes of the investigation, condemns these incidents and previous ones, and lists out actionable steps the university's students, faculty, and staff will take to prevent this incident from reoccurring. Okay, yeah, we've done that before. We've asked for that. They ain't gonna do nothing. Again. They just gonna keep letting the racism file through the stool, and they are just going to just continually be met with deaf ears. So at this point, it's time for Mr. Choi to go. He is not the leader that we need at Mizzou any further. Goodbye. You haven't done anything. You consistently don't do anything for Black people at the college. You consistently ignore racism. I know now that some staff members can't stand you. So what's the tea? Why are you still there? Is it because they can't find anybody else? Students need to raise up, and students, you need to act like you want your voices heard, and you are the power. If they don't have you, they have no money, they have no school. So again, students need to raise up, be in that speaker circle. You have to have your voice heard. And again, athletes, I don't care if you're at risk for suspension. Y'all got to stand up and raise up and walk the field, take a kneel, do whatever you got to do and protest, because you are the ones that have the power. If you keep your mouth shut, you are losing. It's a losing battle. So my advice to students on the campus is open your mouth. You guys have the power now. We as alums can only do what we can do, but you guys have the power. Again, did you hear that? You guys have the power. So I'm going to close by saying you guys have the power, and I can't wait to see what you do with that power. I'll continue using my voice as an alum, but I hope more students, current students, stand up, because that's what we have to have more coming from. And I'll see you on the next one.